What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stokastic coming to you with the first major of the year, DraftKings Reignmakers style. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. You become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Guys, it's here. I smell azaleas. I smell there's maybe pollen in the air. Definitely some rain in the forecast. So looking forward to this one. Going to Augusta, first major of the year. But if you haven't checked out DraftKings Reignmakers yet, I should probably explain what that is. We're doing NFTs, but we're doing it as DFS. So you get cards, you get access to it, and they have over 350K in contest prizes available for this first major. So you want to be checking that out. You can trade in cards, you can shop for, in the PGA Tour stuff, PGA Tour auctions as well, my packs, get yourself access to your free starter pack. Yes, if you could look in the video description box below, there's a free starter pack with 8 golfers you can get. There's also this awesome 8 golfer pack that you're able to get for the Georgia edition. So we're going to pull that up here now. And I'm going to open that right from the get-go here because, again, you can ignore the UFC ones there. We have an opening pack session right from the get-go. It's like Temecula more than it does. But that's a different conversation for a different day. Let's see what we get here right from the get-go in my Georgia edition. I'm going to open them all together. Oh, Tiger right from the get-go. Finau, who I'm in love with. I have so much. Oh, man. There's a lot that I love about this. There's a lot that I love about this pack. Ben Taylor kind of getting into the mix there. Victor Hovland, Tony Finau are 2 players I've got my eye on. Tiger, a little less so, even though it's the best golfer of all time. So there you go. Adam Svensson. I actually have a bet on Zach Johnson to be making the cut. So that's cool. What a time to be alive. Martin Trainer. He's not going to be playing. Lee Hodges not playing Ben Taylor. So pretty good session that we got here amongst these 3. Tiger, guess we're going to have to throw him into some contests now here too. But we take these packs that you get from the starter pack, from the Georgia pack, and we go to the lobby. And just like last time, I want to build through the core. You have this massive 5K to first here, 50K guaranteed. You have the single entry for it, 1.5K to first. We want to be jumping in that one as well. Huge contests across the entire lobby here for the first major of the year. So let's jump into that same single entry that we jumped into last time and kind of build through what we're looking at, talk through some players I've got my eye on. Last week, we kind of hit the nuts with Corey Connors. That was awfully fun. Now, his price has gone down just to begin with him, and I sold off a couple of his cards. I kept the 317. It's still a good serial number. That was the one that made sure that I got at the top of it here. Not going to be playing him there in that slot, though, that's for sure. There's only 89 players playing in the Masters, and because Liv is involved, they're available in DFS, but they are not available for the Reignmakers game, so we can disregard that. I want to start, though, with Scotty Scheffler. He's $44.99. If you're planning on playing DraftKings Reignmakers throughout the rest of this season, Scotty Scheffler is a card you can't really go wrong with. You can see his legendary card. That ain't cheap for sure, but he's been the best player in the world. We just saw him get to that Final 4 of match play. He won the Players. He's just playing so well. It's ridiculous. But Jon Rahm is who I ended up using for my starter pack right from the get-go when this began. He was the hottest player in the world then. And then now Hansel, he's so hot right now. Scotty Scheffler kind of vaulted him. It'd be weird if you had the starter pack available that you didn't start with Scheffler, because then you could always go and buy Jon Rahm for a little bit cheaper. You can see the prices just a little bit lower throughout, like 2K less for the legendary, a couple hundred less for the elite. We're talking $10 less there for the core. So if you're planning on playing and doing things like you probably should, there's access there. Max Homa, really expensive here at the moment too, but I talked about it before. Victor Hovland's a golfer that I kind of stacked up for the week. I have a starter of him. I have 2 boosters of him now here as well. I think he's a golfer that just makes sense. I have the weather here sitting as of right now, Tuesday. We've got this morning. This is the morning forecast that we have going. Thursday, looks like we got a pretty good chance for rain towards the end of the night. Into Friday morning, going to be pouring, it looks like. Friday, all day pouring. Into Saturday morning where it's pouring and also freaking cold. We're talking air temperature, 46 degrees by 5 p.m.? That's not warm. Going to be warm from the onset on Thursday. So Thursday looks like it should be all right for some golf. Warmer temperatures, 82 degrees towards the end of that day. Friday, cooling off, and then Saturday, very, very cold. Paying attention to that. But Victor Hovland, that strokes gain data around the green has been just horrendous. He's lost in every single tournament he's played in this year, but we're looking at wet conditions over the weekend. We're looking at cold conditions over the weekend. I think ball striking will be at a premium, and he's the guy coming in with a cheaper card. So again, I loaded up $17 that we're looking at for this next to Cantlay. He's by far the cheapest that we're looking at in this range. Rory more expensive. Cantlay more expensive. Max Homa more expensive. Rahm, Scheffler, of course. Everybody in this range more expensive, and I love Finau. We'll talk about him too. But first guy I'm going to be clicking in to he won't be my captain here for that. We're going to go Jon Rahm captain because I'm not silly. I'm not a silly Sally. We're going to go Victor Hovland and continue on our merry way because I think he makes sense. I also have Patrick Cantlay here. Be kind of weird to have Patrick Cantlay and not necessarily utilize him in one of your best builds. Again, single entry. There's going to be fewer people that are involved in this one. $1,500 to first and an opportunity to play. Again, you can get your starter pack and you can add a couple of cards to it here. We're looking for 5 core cards, period. You don't have to play the rares or elites or anything here. Save those for another day or sell them. That's a great idea too. But I'm going to be skipping out on Xander here because I have Tony Finau. And I feel like Tony Finau is primed to put together some good golf here. I like the price of his card, considering he's less than $20 right there. $78 in the rare market as well. And sub $1,000 for elite. If you're going to be looking at building out a Studley Reignmakers lineup here for the rest of the year, we've also seen Finau play in some of those weaker events. And these cards all have utility past the Masters. We're not necessarily looking at just this golf tournament. We have to be looking at Tony Finau as having access to some of these weaker events. He's played the 3M in the past. He wanted Detroit in the past. Lots of places where I think Tony Finau might be trying to tee it up. He's on the road with his family, living the life, because he's got to know. Tony Finau makes a lot of sense to me as somebody to click in at the first major of the season as well. Now, if I'm going to be skipping out on Xander Schauffele for this, Justin Thomas probably isn't going to be it. I might be looking at selling him here. He's probably the golfer that I'm the least intrigued by amongst everybody up here. The putter has just been ice cold, baby. But Colin Morikawa talked about ball striking there. There is really nobody better with iron play than Morikawa. Cold, windy, whatever. He did win at one of the nicer weather-wise Open Championships that we had seen in a while. Mixed up his irons for that coming into the week. You guys don't care about that. You care about what does the card cost. So I care about it too. $17.99 to be getting Colin Morikawa. Justin Thomas, I just don't love what I've seen from the putter of him of late. And now I have the card, so I'm going to obviously be utilizing it here during the course of this week. But I think he makes some sense as somebody that I might want to round out this single entry lineup with. So hard to really bat an eye at anybody there. I have some really elite players going, but at the same time that I have that, and we're going to be saving this, we also want to be building some large GPP style type lineups for the core contest. Again, we're talking about 13K entrants as opposed to 789 currently. Now, this is going to go up. I would be surprised if there weren't well over 1,000 for this single entry tournament by the time we get to Thursday morning. But this core contest, there are some unique characteristics where we have to get a little bit different. And I'm going to start with Victor Hovland. He's a player that 40-1 currently in the outright market. There's a lot of players that set out a lot better than that, but I will save. I have Xander and I have Justin Thomas. I have really no problem kind of firing them off in this large field event. If you have the cards, you play the cards. That's really what it comes down to. But Jason Day, I want to give a special shout out to him here. We're going to click him in, but I want you to see that if you have Aaron Wise, if you go to the lobby right now and you go to My Cards and you go to the Craft and Burn section, there's a spot to be able to get Jason Day for Aaron Wise right now. Now, there's going to be only 2,000 people that can do that with the starter card, so you want to do it now. If you are watching this video, congratulations if you have Aaron Wise. But you can jump in and you can exchange Jason Day. You can get Aaron Wise. Or so you can get Jason Day for your Aaron Wise card. He was in the Masters. He pulled out for mental health reasons. Good for him. Take care of yourself. Do the thing, man. But we're looking at Jason Day as an access for this card. That is fantastic stuff. But in terms of the lobby, you can ignore all the UFC cards and all of those things. Going back to this core contest, starting with Hovland, again, very, very contrarian to be starting off my builds with. Best available for those two. But I think Jason Day makes a lot of sense as another player that if you can take advantage of that, up to 2,000 people can do it there. Primed to play well here in a major, I would think, coming forward. Had a really good start to his season. He's only 22-1. He has a great history here at Augusta. So I feel pretty confident about Jason Day being a card that you want to have access to. And what better way than to just go to the craft and burn section that maybe people don't know it exists yet. They should, but he's making his 12th start here at the Masters. And I repeat, made the cut in all 7 starts in 2023. That's really good form. So I'm feeling good about Jason Day as a card that I have access to. And now you will too. Last one in for this lineup. I have the Zalatoris. I have the Connors. But I'm going to go to Hideki. And this is where, in terms of cost, he's going to be a little bit more expensive some of these other players. We're going to build a very contrarian lineup to finish it out. But Hideki at 1390, you want to have access to some of these better players. He has a victory at this first major, so you want to be considering such things that people might be offset by the neck, by the injury coming off the match play. You have the same thing with Tyrrell Hatton, who has a hand injury and things of that nature. Matthew Fitzpatrick, who's got everything kind of messed up with his shoulder and hasn't been in good form. But Hideki kind of fits into this narrative of ball strikers. Again, Day and Schauffele, they kind of fit into the all-around type players. But JT, the putter's been off. Hovland, the around the green game's off. And Hideki, we've never really had the best putter. Whatever. It is what it is. The best putter form that we've had from Hideki was when he went out and won at this golf tournament before. It was an interesting spot. So I think Hideki, we can fire him up. Hopefully he can get something done for us here. But Hovland, that's kind of my contrarian stance here, is getting away from Schauffele, Justin Thomas. These probably make more sense if you're just going by the book, by the DraftKings Sportsbook odds, that you would move one of them up to the captain slot. But I'm getting contrarian, and I'm going to go Hovland. So there you go. Another lineup thrown into the mix here. See, this is awfully fun putting these together. That's for sure. But last one, I built one for that, built one for this. I want to throw out that there are other contests that you can jump in, starter only. Again, if you need to get access to another player for your starter pack, there are things that you can burn. Pay attention to those in the craft and burn section throughout the PGA Tour season. But I wanted to look at some of these bankroll boosters because there are players that you might not necessarily be thinking, oh, I can't necessarily win with this. And people don't want to miss out on that 5K to first. But look at the payout structure. Once you get here, 58th, you need some elite cards. You're going to need some Schefflers. You're going to need some Days if you're going to be looking at those top prizes, because those guys are not all going to fall by the wayside more than likely. But this bankroll booster is a great way to utilize some of those cards I talked about last week. Sepp Straka, things of that nature. Now, Tom Kim, again, I can save the Hovland, the Tom Kim, these guys for another day. I have a lot of players that I think I do want to be utilizing there, but I'm going to start it off with Svensson. Probably not the best captain selection. I'll actually do this differently. Let's throw Hovland into the captain just for the time being. I'm looking at possibly having this change out though, but 3 max, you can only play up to 3 of these and you're trying to win $20. These cards all have utility past this week. So just because Svensson and $5.50, you could put together a group, a lineup that makes some sense to be firing up in this. So Hovland, I've already utilized him in a captain spot. I'm not going to be super bent out of shape if the guy that I'm going to be using in a captain slot that nobody else is going to be having up there ends up competing and playing well. Of course, if he wins, I'm going to be bummed out because I could have utilized him and probably cashed very nicely in that 5K to first one. But I have cards that have a ton of utility down here that I probably don't really see a ton of upside for a winning lineup. But Adam Svensson's a player that I do think from a DFS perspective, where you have to find some lower salary players, or from this perspective where I'm just trying to cash top 250 in a tournament where right now there's only 673 entrants, I think he can get thrown into the mix. He's a great ball striker. Putter can get cold from time to time, but another Canadian kind of in that similar vein to Corey Connors. Oh, when you zoom in, quality gets really good there. Adam Svensson just makes some sense as somebody that I don't really see as somebody that I want to be building around with my top studs, but I think I can definitely click on and have some access to here. JT Poston here. JT Poston. Wait a minute, Mr. Postman. You're just $5 over on the marketplace? Well, he's a Bermuda specialist. He's actually seen this place now. I think he makes some sense. JT Poston, I don't really want to be utilizing him around some of these other studs, but in a bankroll booster, trying to build some bankroll here, trying to win some money throughout the PGA Tour season with these cards, click. Taylor Moore, another player that you could have just crafted and burned with some of those. I think he's a click for one of these style type plays. And then Sepp Straka, brought him up before last week. He was $3 when we did that. He ended up going for around $6, $7 because people realized he had some utility. And what did he do? Well, let's game log watch. 22nd. Ended up putting up a really nice showing. Was in some winning lineups, both in DFS and in Reignmakers, just as a guy that was, obviously wanted to have Corey Connors. Shout out my call on that one. But Sepp Straka now has that utility I talked about from last week, trying to get us that $20 cash. So again, you don't have to get as aggressive going to like a Hovland up top here, but each of these players, why wouldn't you take a crack at trying to just cash and try to find your way into that top 250 to win $20? Have those cards actually have utility, whereas in those massive contests with 13,000 players, 13,000 entries, should I say, you don't necessarily have the same upside with these cards. So don't neglect these other tournaments that exist on the board. If you have cards that are playing, find ways to be able to play them. If you need to find some other cheapies around them, find some high upside options. They're definitely available. But let's do this. I've got one more card, or one more. We can look at one more court situation here. I'm going to, we'll save that one there. Enter again. Super clean, super fun to be able to throw these 5 golfer lineups together here for the first major as well. But Tom Kim, first Masters. I'm not really expecting a whole heck of a lot out of him here in this spot. Seamus Power, I can do best available with some of these players that I have left. Zalatoris definitely has some upside. Siwoo Kim I could throw into, but now is where I want to just take you through players that I think are underpriced. Places where I think we can go, and that's where we'll get rid of the cards. We'll kind of go down the line here based on form. Finau under $20. Talked about that. Cameron Young, he's going to win a major within the next 5 years. I'd be shocked if he didn't, because he's just that good of a player. Sung Jae Im, not necessarily underpriced, but Tyrrell Hatton. If you disregard last week, if you just throw it out the window, why is he $12 coming in here? I get the hand injury, missed the cut, went berserk. Probably shouldn't have been playing the Valero, Texas. And at a certain point, once he realized he wasn't going to win, something tells me he just kind of called it a day there. But at just $12 now, $12, I can get his number 79. Oh, somebody posted an approach. I'm going to snag that this second. Oh, it's got to check my location. This is a good thing. Again, make sure. There you go. Thank you so much. Add to lineup. That feels really nice. And number 79 that I just got for $12 for Tyrrell Hatton, you got to practice what you preach, baby. Mama, don't preach. I'm in trouble, dear. That's a different song. That's a completely different vibe. But as I'm going through other players, I just snagged that one while we were live here. Tom Hoge, he's getting some steam in DFS. Probably still not looking necessarily at his 855. Adam Scott was playing really nice at the beginning of the season. It started to fade out. But Keith Mitchell is somebody that I think you want to keep an eye on. If you're trying to put together some ball striking extraordinaire spots, has had some pretty good form. Again, that 5th, I believe that was the Pebble Beach. I'm doing that off the top of my head, so just trust me on that. AT&T Pebble Beach had to have been where he definitely finished up there. But my guy Sam Burns sitting at $12, I'm always going to find that too cheap. I'm going to get some cards of his that I'm going to fire up for this week too. But I've kind of rotated through, got access to a couple of different players here. Sepp Straka, talked about him. But Gary Woodland is $4.45. I get it. You go game log watching. You can still do that here, clicking on the player profile. Hasn't been as pretty, but again, that was, I think that was the Pebble Beach, if I do remember myself. But looking at Gary Woodland, nothing pops about this, but just one of those golf tournaments where if it's going to be crappy weather, we've seen him succeed at U.S. Opens, hitting Stinger 2 irons. At Pebble Beach, we've seen him succeed throughout however long in bad conditions. I think he's a guy to buy in. perhaps maybe for more of those, like I will have utility in the future. All of these players have utility in the future. So like for the rest of the tournaments, if he plays 12 tournaments, which I think he would probably play more for the rest of the year, that averages out 33 cents per tournament, or what, 40 cents basically per tournament. If he's playing in 11 of them, that's quick math off the top of my head. Gary Woodland makes some absolute sense. Kevin Kistner, the form really hasn't been there. So these are again, you don't have that many players in the pool, 52 players that are playing in this major. This is the fewest amount of players you will ever run into for a Reignmakers event. I'm assuming, actually, no, it'll be the 30 players that you have at the Tour Championship later down the line. But that makes this a phenomenal spot to be investing. Yes, even in some of these lower tier players. So a special shout out. I do like the Keith Mitchell. I'm probably talking myself into firing some of that up here down the line. Brian Harmon also at 585. Seems like somebody people have liked in Masters in the past. Just saying, throwing it out there. Want you to be very, very aware of that as well. Tiger Woods, I'm probably going to be getting rid of this. Well, it's a starter card, so I can't do that. Taylor Moore sitting a little bit cheaper as well. And Fitzy, this is the last guy that I wanted to give a shout out to. Let's see if the most available, $9.99. I'm hoping I'll wait and see if I can get something cheaper there, but didn't sound very confident during his press conference today. Didn't feel like it was something where he's getting back into form. It sounds like he's lost some weight as well. Hasn't been able to do as much of the speed training as what he had been working on. So I didn't like some of the body language, but his card is now less than $10. We have to be looking at some of that in our lives. Russell Henley, if you're looking for an iron play type stack too. Lots of ways to be able to utilize these cards, but so many paths. Showed you a couple of different ones. Don't forget to check out the different contest types. And if you're looking at playing some of the rares, some of the elites, I'm just covering this for the people, by the people, for the people, as much as possible. This is a phenomenal tournament this week. If you have the elite cards, this is not going to be maybe 1,000. Maybe it gets there. I'd be maybe surprised though. They have UFC going as well for this weekend. So many great offerings in the Reignmaker Street. So go to the homepage over at Reignmakers. Get yourself access to the first major of the year. We're going to Augusta. Gonna be an awesome week of golf. Get NFTs. Get all of the great stuff that you have and be able to play these DFS contests. And I will teach you throughout the year how to go about utilizing your cards to make the best ROI possible every single week, and try to get you more Corey Connors shout outs on the winner. That worked out very, very nicely. But until next week, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the first major of the year.